Yeah, once you start, you can't really stop. ASMR is a very interesting form of entertainment with many flavors of differing varieties. There's a little something out there for everybody, from the ones that make you tingle with their velvety voices and it makes you feel something. And you've got ones that are more of an acquired taste, but no judging, no judging. Regardless of what genre of ASMR you mainly flock to, you're bound to get your clicks worth more often than not. There's a plethora of stories waiting to be heard from many talented VAs across YouTube, and if you're not already a fan like myself, or you just can't get into what, then I hope at least this video can help you understand exactly why so many people are fans of this kind of content. For this video, I'll be focusing specifically on fictional ASMR roleplay audios, the ones that are made for the listener to be taken from their phone or computer screens into a brand new world, feeling as if you're right there in the video itself. So strap in, my friends, and let's take a dive into the engaging world of ASMR roleplays. I'll start with a basic idea of what ASMR actually is. I don't need to go over the history because there's already plenty of videos out there that do that way better than I could. So basically, ASMR didn't really start out with role plays in mind. Obviously, it's mainly all about the sounds and particular triggers that pull a specific type of emotion from the listener. Euphoria, relaxation, satisfaction. It's probably way too many to list here, honestly. It all began in 2010 when the term itself was made official by Jennifer Allen, and the acronym itself stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. It's kind of hard to put the exact feeling into words as different people respond to different triggers, but that feeling of the sensation spreading from your head all the way down to your neck, and potentially further below if you're freaky like that, is universal. It started out with simple tapping, whispering, and giving the listener a sense of reassurance and comfort. Slowly over time, the medium developed past these basic yet effective scenarios and began drifting more towards story-driven and immersive content. By the mid-2010s, ASMR roleplays began to explode and absolutely take over the medium, seeing new content creators throw their hat into the ring to try and get a piece of this new pie. It is especially seeing a massive uptick in viewership post the pandemic era, because I guess people figured if I'm going to be sitting in my ass due to lockdown, I got to get my human interaction somewhere anyway, right? ASMR roleplays, at their core, are just another form of storytelling similar to written books and audiobooks. One element that I like in particular is how immersive it can get. You can really find yourself getting lost in these amazing stories told by these wonderful voice actors. As someone with a passion for storytelling myself, listening to these gives me a lot of inspiration for my own writing and stories. You kind of just get lost in the sauce, so to speak, and as I said in the intro, once you get hooked, they're hard to really put down. It's like a drug, but without the negative effects that come with it. Well, unless you count how parasocial some people can get over these kinds of videos, but we'll touch on that later. I don't remember exactly when or how I got into ASMR particularly. Hell, I don't even remember the first video of it I watched. But what I do know is, I fucking love this shit. As someone who considers himself a ASMR roleplay aficionado, the first thing we should talk about is the meat and potatoes, the subgenres. For the type of ASMR roleplays I'm discussing here in this video, there are a few umbrella tags of categorization for listeners looking for stories that fit their personal tastes. And those would be F for M, meaning female speaker for a male listener, M for F, male speaker for a female listener, M for M, male speaker for male listener, and F for F, female speaker for a female listener. There's also these tags, but with T's added in front of them for transgender listeners. Those seem to be less common, but they're definitely there for those that prefer them. Upon my research, ASMR in general is more popular among women, it seems, both as listeners and creators, with a report from Zipdo.com stating that 70% of women make up the enjoyers of this medium. Underneath the bridge of those tags are the actual genres that make up the whole of the ASMR roleplay. Those being ones such as but not limited to friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, enemies to friends, hurt and comfort, mommy roleplay, mafia stories, superheroes, yanderes, tsunderes, and my personal favorite, bully audios. There's probably more that I could think of, but they're probably very specific and it would take way too long to list all of these. Also, I need my ASMR artists to make more bully audios as soon as possible. I feel like I've watched every single one of them at this point, and I need more. Please give me more. And of course, there's the specific vibe of the stories, like horror, fantasy, sci-fi, and contemporary. All with their own unique types of subgenres that could fit underneath like each one of those. Like seriously, this is why I said you can fall down a rabbit hole really quickly with this. With genres covered, it's time to move on to storytelling. Now, I am not a storytelling expert by any means, but as a guy with dreams to publish a novel one day, I'd like to think I know a little bit to talk about it here. I mean, it is the lifeblood of the genre after all. Every ASMR roleplay is made or broken based on these core storytelling elements: character, dialogue, pacing, structure, and atmosphere and mood. There are additional elements such as world building, which can be important too, but more so if the creator you're listening to is making or recording a multi-part series. And most audios out there are made to be one video only. Now, without the visual storytelling that can help out the less structured ASMR roleplay where you actually see the speaker in the video played by a real life person, the kind I'm more referring to for this video is strictly audio, which means it's going to be a lot harder to get certain elements to come across, but also easier in other aspects. With character, you need a consistent speaker with like a clear role like best friend, ex-girlfriend, bully, nurse, witch, mafia boss, etc., etc. You need a proper personality that could potentially shift over the course of the story depending on what kind of story the speaker is telling. You also want to try for a voice that matches the character the script is giving, which can be easier if the writer of said script has given specific tone indicators for how the character should sound. You also have to take into account small quirks or speech patterns as well. Now, keep in mind, my script writers out there, please, that you are also indirectly writing for the listener as well, so you have to write your script in a way that gets across what you want to tell in an effective manner. Easier said than done, I know, especially considering the fact that these are meant to be done for fun, and unless written by the speaker themselves, the writers rarely, if at all, make any monetary gain from this. It's all for the love of the game, baby. Dialogue. Now, this is probably the most important one of the bunch, as this is a media built on the backbone of the spoken word. So there are a lot of factors to consider when making a good script. You have to guide the narrative in a way that the suspension of disbelief isn't shattered for the listener. You don't want people to skip your video and find another one, so you have to get this right. Now, I'm not a VA myself, but I would say getting the tone of your voice to fit the situation is pretty much key to making a good audio. You don't want to sound more on the monotone side unless the character is meant to be written that way. Like for example, a kudere. Seriously, I've heard so many VAs try way too hard to hit those ASMR triggers by talking low, and it just completely ruins the vibe of the roleplay because it doesn't fit the tone that the character is going for. Also, script writers, please listen to me when I say this. Subtlety is king. Jeez, I hear so many people get this wrong in their scripts and it drives me insane. Please do some extra research on storytelling elements before you open a document and start typing just anything. Of course, it's a lot easier said than done because writing is hard, and mastering subtlety is one of the most difficult things to do in any sort of fictional writing. Seriously, even some accomplished authors probably still struggle with this. I say all of that to say, work on your dialogue, please. Make sure your characters sound like actual human beings. No one says exactly what they're thinking all the time. If you have characters do that, it will absolutely take the listener out of the script. Or at least me anyway, but I guess I just have higher standards. I'm thinking of one scriptwriter in particular for one of my favorite ASMR artists that fucks this up a lot of the time, and it's very infuriating to listen to. Not to sound like a snob, since I am just a dude on the internet giving his opinion, but yeah. Balancing the duty of telling a whole story from one character's perspective while also giving a good idea of what the speaker would say can be difficult, but with enough effort, you should be able to make something listenable. Pacing. Pacing, like with any story, is important. You want to get this right because it's so vital. Get a good feel for how the script feels when you speak it. If there aren't any tone indicators in the script, try to experiment and get a good feel on how the tone needs to be. Don't rush the beats that need time to land. Let the moments and dialogue breathe. Let the script work for you. Do not talk too fast or too quiet, especially too fast. If the sentences don't have time to breathe, it's going to be extremely difficult for the listener to keep up. And if it's too slow, the reader will have fallen asleep before the video is even done. You want the story to feel legit. Use your voice to the best of your ability and make the best of what you have. Make the story work for you. And that's going to lead me into structure. I'm going to keep this section as brief as possible as it's pretty self-explanatory, I feel. My scriptwriters, you need a proper beginning, middle, and end for your stories. As I said, it's a lot harder to do than you think, but with time and effort, you can make it work. If you need to, look up a few videos or articles online to give good info on how to structure your work. You have a lot less time to work with, as most ASMR roleplays are one and dones and are generally don't run around longer than 15 to 20 minutes. 20 minutes is even pushing it, honestly. So you have to make the best of what you have. Don't force too much into one script. If the idea is too expansive for one video, then finding a cutting point and saving those ideas bouncing around in your head for a follow-up script for a sequel is probably the best route for you to go. My advice above all else would be to know your ending before you write anything else. Even if you're a pantser who goes where the wind takes them. Take a little bit of time and think about the ending, and then everything else will fall in line much easier than by starting at the beginning. Like a building, your structure is the foundation of your script. Don't let this fall to the wayside, please. And finally, atmosphere and mood. I am lumping these together because they basically go hand in hand. Using sounds effectively is another important piece of the whole puzzle. Some audios, depending on the story, might not need them if at all, funny enough, but adding those auditory details in the background helps paint an even clearer picture of the setting and surroundings for the listener. It really taps into the listener's mind's eye and leaves them feeling truly immersed in the story. And you want to make sure you match the sounds based on the tone and mood. Whether it's cozy, mysterious, creepy, futuristic, whimsical, or whatever have you, having the character and the sounds in sync makes for an engaging and complete narrative experience. Also, speaking of sounds, this should be obvious, but please invest in a decent microphone and make sure your audio levels are listenable. Good audio could maybe save a mid-tier script and make it sound good, but you could conjure the spirit of Shakespeare himself from beyond the grave and write the best fucking script of all time. It won't mean jack shit if your audio sounds like trash. Please take that into consideration. Thank you. Now with the pillars of ASMR storytelling covered, I want to talk on how ASMR roleplay hits the spot for comfort needs. For my lonely boys and girls out there, having the comfort and emotional support that can come from listening to ASMR roleplays can be a great help. They can help a lot when it comes to helping the listener come to terms with their issues, or at the very least, come a step closer to doing so. It's one of the many common coping mechanisms to help with facing the shit show that is of the very earth that we live on at this point. However, please, don't use this over real therapy if you feel you need it. Like, seriously, go get that shit. I can vouch for it. It helps. But storytelling at its core makes people think about themselves, the people they know, and the world around them. Hearing those fictional stories can really help set people on the right path and consider aspects of themselves that they may have not thought about much before. However, there can be people that take things too far and get too attached to the speakers as if the stories they're listening to are real. It's important to distinguish fiction from reality. It's impossible to understand everyone's situation out there, but there is no excuse for harassing, messaging, or leaving creepy comments on your favorite content creator's channel. Please learn to respect other people's boundaries. Overall, ASMR roleplays at their core are a way for people to express themselves, a way for people to connect with one another. They're basically one-man plays. They can be as simple as a good story to listen to while you're on break at work, or they can serve as a lesson for the listener, a deep, meaningful message that hopefully leaves the listener in a better state than before they clicked on it. And I believe that if there's one thing that all ASMR artists can agree on, it's that if they can make at least one person happy with their work, it's absolutely worth every second recording. Now, before I finish this video, it's only right that I ended off with a few quick recommendations. I could go into detail about some of these picks, but this video is already running like way longer than I expected, so I will try to keep it short. Here are my picks for some good ASMR artists to listen to. Skylar Kwam, the one that I listened to that got me into this medium if I recall correctly. Hana, Spring ASMR, Wishful Audio, Kasumi VA, Alex Talks ASMR, Exmr, Psycho VA, Jury Charm Audio, and Endearing Audio, and many others that I probably can't think of at the moment. Seriously, I could go all day if I tried to list every single one I've listened to. And that's my dive into ASMR. I hope you enjoyed. There may have been more I could have gone into, but I think I got the majority out, as this was mainly intended to be me just yapping about the topic in a somewhat consistent manner rather than a full-on deep dive into the subject. If there's anything else you think I could have touched on in this video, please feel free to let me know. And welcome to the channel. I am Everhard. Here we love and appreciate all things storytelling. I can't promise I'll get everything right, but I can promise that I will give my best. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.